lots of projects in energy, as I'm sure you guys have noticed. So thank you guys. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is I'm Jack, and my partner Alex is not here. Very unfortunate because he's a super cool person. However, he's not here. He lives. He will be here when you see him first time. We're both becoming second years in our applied physics PhD program at Stanford, and the purpose of our training, we want to go under the umbrella theme of practical physics, or as some of you might know, it's engineering. Now, what do people think about engineering? Let's say philosophers, they think about some really abstract stuff. You have no idea what you're actually thinking. Then you step up, you have scientists, they work with real-life phenomena, they try to figure out what's going on in the world. But you may say, well, that's so far away from me. I have no idea what they do either. What comes into engineers, unfortunately blocked by this clock, but it's a giant spaceship with lasers and could be more awesome. And this is the kind of thing we're interested in, is what can you do with science? This man here, Nikola Tesla, invented AC electricity, made everyday life better. He's an engineer. And we want to follow his footsteps and be awesome people. Now, I don't know the logistics of how this thing works, but we have just thrown a bunch of ideas down. Some of them could be worked as a team, some of them could be done as individual projects for IB subjects. I personally did the IB diploma, so I know the pain you guys are going through. Now, all right, let's jump right in. Drones, super cool, isn't it? Who actually knows how drones work? One guy. Excellent. Don't you want to know how they actually work? So, the conventional drone, oh my god, the conventional drone, you can't see here, there's a stormtrooper on the drone right here. Usually they have 4 rotors, and you know, you can imagine they balance each other out, you can turn. But the actual engineering that goes into it is quite amazing, and it might be trivial for someone who's done it over and over again, but for you guys, putting together something like this and understanding how it works, and in fact modifying some of the designs and see how the drones respond would be very instrumental to understanding how to be a good engineer. So over there, there's actually somebody made a 1-rotor drone, and it sounds bizarre, but it works. As Ruby and Charlie mentioned earlier, solar power is very important right now, but as you may or may not know, they work best when you point them at the sun. So, we think it'd be good if you can work on something like a solar tracker, as you mentioned. I won't go into too many details, but you will look at whether it would be better to point them at the sun, actively looking for the sun, or just at a set rate that goes through the day, or not tracking the sun at all. You will learn about the basic photovoltaics, and you will learn about how to design a robust mechanical system that can be used over and over again without breaking down. Autonomous vehicles, so hot right now. Tesla, Google, Apple, everybody, and every other startup in Silicon Valley wants to do autonomous vehicles. Are you going to make a Tesla with us? No. However, there are lots of bits and pieces that go into a little autonomous robot that helps you understand what makes them appear to be able to think for themselves. You could, for example, think about designing a vision system such that they can recognize their environment, or you can make a few of them together to run in a little circle or on a map such that they don't run into each other. And there's a question? Once again, this is a fairly integrated system, a car, but you can learn how to put everything together and be a good engineer. Skyscrapers, super awesome, tall buildings, but they actually wall in there. This thing is a 720-ton ball of steel in the Taipei 101 building, and this is how much it sways in a hurricane. You could look at how do you make a skyscraper, how do you wobble, how do you make it stable, And in the process, there's physics about oscillations, which is huge in physics if your physics teacher told you that. And in the process, this could be an interesting IB project in physics, for example. All right, keep going. Super cooled water. Who knows you can cool water below 0 and not have it freeze? A few of you. But this is my reaction when I learned that you can do that. Look at that, you can just pull water out of the bottom. It freezes instantaneously. It's so cool. This is not very engineering, but this is extremely awesome or extremely cool. Alright? And there's the physics of thermodynamics and phase transitions, although it sounds just like words, they're actually very important as we don't know these things every day without even realizing. You can't even see this. Oh, you can. It says fire. What about fire? Yeah, forest fires. What do you do with forest fires? Put them out. With water? With sand? Or something? We're thinking, this might be far-fetched, but could you drop tanks of liquid nitrogen? You're not going to actually have a tank of liquid nitrogen drop in the forest, but you could think about modeling them with matchsticks or something. Drop it into a box. That'd be really cool. So hot right now. And just to show you how far-fetched we're willing to go, railguns. Anybody saw Transformers? Remember that big... right? This is something you could do. This is something you could do by yourself, and you could model this. And there's a lot of interesting electromagnetism and mechanics that goes with it. And just so you know, if you work with us, your project will not look like this. And again, we're willing to go arbitrarily far. Just let us know your interest, and we're super happy to help you. Thank you very much.
She works in genetics or chemical engineering. We mainly work with bacteria. So this time around, we're really excited to lead the projects, and we're too excited about working with some of the lesser-known model organisms. So what are model organisms? If I asked you, what is the volume of a cow, or calculate drag of a flying cow? It's easy, right? You just say, a cow is a sphere. There you go. So model organisms are spherical cows for biologists. They allow us to answer complex questions in simple systems. And the answers are very relevant and useful too. Here is an assortment of some of the really well-known model organisms that we either work with or recognize. What makes a good model organism? So it has to have a specific characteristic that makes it easy to work with. So for example, the fruit flies, because they have these really easily seen phenotypes like their eyes or illustrations in their bodies, and they breed so fast, they are great organisms for studying genetics and how genes are passed down. This crawly guy, the C. elegans roundworm, is the first animal to have all of its connectome characterized, so all of the neurons in its body mapped out and how they talk to each other. So these are really well known, but there are other really cool, lesser known organisms out there. So you may have seen these guys around somewhere, the signals, but touch them. They have been around a while, and there is still a lot of stuff that's not known about them. They are actually eukaryotes, single-cell eukaryotes that are happy being alone, roaming around, eating their food when there's plenty of food. Then the food gets short, they break out and swarm and aggregate and form these really cool microscopic structures that you can actually see with the naked eye. Can somebody play the video? The bonus video, there's Yeah, so this is just the beginning. There are many, many cool organisms out there that we would be really happy to mentor you if you want to work with them. One of them is the crustacean delphin, and the other thing that's really cool is its body is completely transparent. So you can see its beating heart over there. You can see its digestive system. If it's carrying eggs, you can see those. Its skin is really thin, so it absorbs different drugs, and you can study the effect of drugs on this organism. And there it's happily seen around. That's what it's called, the butterfly. And Athena stole my thunder, but I cannot mention the tardigrades. I mean, they are amazing. You can find them in your backyard. Who has heard about them before today? Somebody here. Absolutely amazing. They can survive boiling water. They can survive vacuum. They're in outer space. They can survive at immense pressures on the bottom of marine trenches. So they are pretty amazing and really cool. So if you like these or have any other animals you're curious about, we'd be really happy to work with you. And we think that there is a ton of cool stuff around us. It doesn't have to be these creatures. If you have ever wondered about ants, or if a single ant is not that smart, but together we can build something. Or how do fruit flies always spontaneously generate when there is a piece of like fruit? Where did it come from? Or what I like it. What I like it. Comment on our team. Woo!
Close it out for us, guys.
Alright, well, so that's my partner Derek, who's running around. But my name's Aaron. I'm a third year in applied physics here at Stanford. And so some of the things today we're going to talk to you about, a little bit different than some of the other groups, are some fluids, solids, and life, and what kind of stuff we can do with these things. So, can someone click this for me up there? Sorry. So some of the stuff that you can do with fluids, you can study what parameters affect splashing. So this is what you think of a typical splash. You have droplets flying all over the place, but if you do something like decrease the pressure, can you click this one now? Sorry, this is the only videos I have. If you click that, it's at 0.2 atmospheres. You can see it completely has a different dynamics. It just wets to the surface. So it's pretty cool. So some of the other things that, I don't know, I could that's all. So if you ever tried to see how hot a pan is, like if you want to cook pancakes or something like that, a good way to see when you're at roughly 150 C or something like that is to drop water droplets on the pan. And when it's hot enough, your droplets will actually form a vapor layer underneath and they'll levitate and skirt around. It's actually pretty fun. So if your parents are looking, you can try this tonight. But basically, instead of like sticking to the surface and boiling right away, it will form a little vapor layer and it'll hover around and it will stick around for a few minutes or something like that. It's pretty cool. You can also do that with liquid nitrogen. Basically, if you look here, this is actually floating above the surface. Another thing that's actually super relevant around here with earthquakes is liquefaction. So if you have a mixture of soil and a ton of water saturating your soil, if you start to shake the soil, then all of a sudden it can get rid, lose all its strength and stiffness, and you can suck up an entire car all of a sudden. So that's something that's super relevant around here if you're interested in studying that. And then one final thing with fluids, this is what's called a Healy-Shaw cell. You have two plates and you inject fluid in between them, and using this you can study the interfaces of fluids. So all that's being changed between these three images is the ratio of the viscosity between these fluids. So as you pump in more and more viscous fluids, you can get these really cool patterns at the interface. What I study in my lab, and I'd be happy to teach you about and we can do together, is what's called graphene. So graphite is what you have in a typical pencil lead, and then using something as simple as Scotch tape, you can literally pull these layers of carbon atoms apart and then put them onto a final substrate. So you can basically, graphite, like I said, is single layer or bonded layers of graphene, and then you can put it onto a substrate right here. So this is actually a single layer of atoms And I made that in my lab really quick by peeling Scotch tape graphite. It's pretty cool. But yeah, so if you're interested in studying something like that, I can teach you all about that. So now Derek's going to take over.
So we're also interested in super cool. So if you're interested in this project, we collaborate with Jack. Another aspect of the transition between fluids and solids is in field of cryogenics. So here's a practical challenge to you. I want you to freeze a batch of strawberries and have those strawberries taste just as good when I thaw them as they were when they were fresh. So if you want to take this challenge on, then you might want to consider this project. One trick that I learned about just reading online is like you just cover it with sugar water, so syrup, and that'll actually help preserve the strawberry from being damaged. But you can try a bunch of different tricks and see what works. So in this project, we do a lot of taste testing. Also, another area we're interested in is the study of light. So back 150 years ago, people thought the universe was filled with something called ether, and that this was what light traveled through. And under this model, how fast light is depends on which direction you shoot it out. If you shoot it out this way, it will be going faster than if you shoot it out the other way. For instance, it would be analogous if you're in a car and you're throwing a tennis ball at the car. It will depend on how fast your car is moving in which direction. That turns out to be wrong. No matter how fast you're moving, you measure the speed of light, it'll be this number right here. And that forms the basis of Einstein's special theory of relativity. But people actually have to prove this fact experimentally. And it's really simple to do conceptually. I'll stand approximately equidistant from the wall and the ceiling. When I say go, I'll fire my laser to the ceiling, and you'll measure the time it takes for the laser to appear. And then I'll do the same and fire it at the wall. And then we'll compare the two times, okay? So, get your timers out, you can watch. 3, 2, 1. Okay? 3, 2, 1. Got it? I didn't expect that to actually work. But what you basically need is a ruler and a stopwatch that is as sensitive as light itself. So why not use light itself as your ruler and stopwatch? That's what an interferometer is. And if I were standing right here and I do the same experiment, have mirrors reflect the light back at me and look at the interference they form, because light is a wave. Any small changes in that distance or in that speed will register as shifts in the interference pattern. So, what we want to do is build a desktop version of that instrument. So, what you see here is someone's taken apart a used CD drive and used the mirrors to form an interferometer with two directions. And then they combine it back here. So it's a video.
So all the way to the back?
All right. So while that video is in progress, let's talk about generally, if you're interested in studying light because optics from commercial companies are really expensive, we're actually not going to buy those. What we will do is analogous to that. Yes. So hard to see here, but there's a piece of paper and bands that form. And those bands will shift just from the lightest press of the table. So the person here is actually pressing on the table with a small strip of rubber. And it's causing micron size, so this is 1 million times smaller than a meter, changes in the path that the laser travels. You can actually measure that with this device. But generally, if you're interested in optics, we've got a bunch of cool ideas, and all of them will involve taking apart used consumer electronics. I found this in an LCD projector, and you can kind of guess what it does based off of demonstration. Turn. And again. So I'm shooting my white light into here, and it's splitting it into 3 different colors. So there's lots of cool stuff, lots of cool optics that are lying in that projector, for example. We won't take apart that one. We'll buy some cheap ones at eBay, and you can have fun breaking things and learning how they work. That's all. Thank you.
All right, so now we've got some snacks to share with you guys. We'll meet you outside in the courtyard.
Hold on, 1 second. What were you going to say?
I want to remind the IB students, based on the issues we had last year, I want to remind you guys here, if you're an IB bio, your project has to be bio.